Hello everyone, and welcome back to a spooky rendition of Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe. I am your host, Joe, and with me as always is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Boys, it is October 1st, spooky season.
It is spooky season, and notice how we only said boys. This season is for the boys. Girls, get the fuck out of here with your pumpkin-spiced bullshit!
I had one this morning.
I swear to God, Joe, you fucking traitor. I swear to fucking Christ. Show is over, folks. My headphones are off. Joe, I can't hear you. I don't know what the fuck is going on anymore.
Shout out to the women. We love you.
Girls love you and make up one half of the entire population of the planet. Thank you. Many kisses. Love. Yeah. Hello, everyone. It's been a minute. Shit's happened. Some of us went back to school. Some of us didn't.
I'm the one that went back to school.
I didn't. Think I'm gonna go back to school, Joe? You think I want to go back and learn? Actually, that would be kind of fun. I enjoyed learning quite a bit. But yeah, so if you're wondering why it's been less episodes, that's why. But we're back today with something special. You see, both of us boys, both of us Joes, just two Joes, haha, channel name. We particularly love when it become not hot anymore, aka autumn, aka fall, for all of you lesser folk out there. And when it becomes this season, and all the leaves start changing color, and the winds keep on rushing in, and it drops from 80 to like 60 degrees, and you put on those hoodies and those jeans, and in, I guess, Joe's case, you get a fucking pumpkin spiced everything. That's our happy time. And so to kick off our happy time, we thought we'd talk about a little something that we both enjoy, comics. More specifically, you've already seen the title and the intro. We're talking about Batman: The Long Halloween, baby.
Damn, I've been wanting to read this for a while, and I picked up my copy when Joe and I went on our little road trip up to New England, and it's just been sitting there, waiting for me to read.
It's been staring at you in your sleep.
I got sick of reading about anatomy, and I was like, you know what? Let's read about justice. So, yeah, I started reading this bad boy, and let's just say I have thoughts and questions and opinions and so many questions.
So many questions. All right, just real briefly before we get into it, we're going to be talking about the entirety of the story, all 13 issues. So if you're afraid of spoilers, get out now. And have a nice day. Come back after you read the book. And then also just a brief, recap of the entire story. Nothing super in-depth. But Batman, The Long Halloween, again, 13 issues came out between 1996 and 1997. Written by Jeff Loeb, art by Tim Sale. They're a power team. They've done a couple of other things. Like they did the color series over at Marvel, which I don't know if you know about that. But they did like Daredevil Yellow and Spider-Man Blue. And I think Captain America White, it was a series they did as well. So they're a tried and true team, and it follows Batman in his early days. I'm leafing through the pages right now, and it essentially works as a bridge story between the organized crime of Gotham. So say like your Falcones, your Maronis, all that sort of stuff. And it goes from the mobster scene of Gotham and transitions Gotham into a city of freak crime, which would be like your Jokers, your Poison Ivies, your Two-Face, which is a character that we'll get into much more in this story because this also acts as a sort of origin or a great downfall of Harvey Dent. So, Joe, I just got to ask you real quick right off the bat, what was your expectations going into this book?
For some reason, I was feeling it was going to be very similar to Year One. I don't know why, but I think that's because it was the most recent story I had in my mind. And although I feel there are some similarities, I think this is greatly better than Year One, and gives Batman a lot more depth to him. So yeah, it definitely subverted my expectations. I was expecting more of a superhero story, and this is not a superhero story. This is like
no.
Like on my copy, it has like a quote from Christopher Nolan, and it talks about how it's an epic tragedy, and I don't think it's that far off. It feels more like a drama, a mystery drama, a murder mystery drama, and something that I enjoy. So I really enjoyed this. I liked how almost realistic it was. There's not too many fantastical moments in this, and even the stuff that is fantastical, it's almost borderline believable, some of the stuff. But I loved it. It was super, super engaging.
I am so wonderfully happy to hear that you enjoyed it so much. And funny you should say that it reminds you, or at least you thought it was going to be like a sequel to Year One going into it, because while it's not a direct sequel to Year One, it is in essence thought of by like people in the comics community as basically Batman Year Two. Because you have Year One, the origin of Batman, him coming into the city and everything like that, and like becoming the Batman for the first time. And then you have this, which is like, all right, so now you've gotten to know some of the mainstay villains, quote unquote, in the beginning of Batman's era, which would be the Falcone family and Falcone family. I don't know why I keep adding the E at the end there. The Falcone family.
I thought of it as Falcone.
I'm pretty sure it's just Falcone. Like you have Falcone and Maroni.
But the E, it makes it more Italiano, you know what I mean? The Falcones and the Maroni, the Maronis,
well,
and
Maroni
the pepperonis.
Got the Maroni, you got the pepperoni, you got the big old sausage that you slap across the face
The
with.
capicola!
Exactly. We're getting too Italian for this podcast, Joe. We can't be too Italian on the podcast.
Where's my damn biscotti?
Oh my God. But yeah, so it's Year Two. And that's exactly what this is. This is sort of emulating in a sense. So yeah, you're spot on with all of that, and also very true. My copy also has the the Christopher Nolan, director of The Dark Knight Rises, all in italics, because that's how you quote things properly. Where he says that the Long Halloween is more of an epic tragedy and all that sort of stuff, and then it's got this whole forward between him and I think who was the is it. Yeah, David Goyer, who I believe was he like the screenwriter or something like that for Dark
I think
Knight?
he was screenwriter.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they talk about it a lot because this book, if you hadn't noticed, Joe, was also very inspirational in creating Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, specifically The Dark Knight, which featured a one Harvey Dent.
Yeah. This is surprisingly, I get the Harvey Dent part, definitely I see, but honestly, more what struck me with similarities is the Selina Kyle Batman relationship. I found that more like, wow, they got that spot on in the movie. Dark Knight Rises. Wait. Dark Knight, I'm going to sound like an idiot. Again, it's late. It's been a long day. Dark Knight is the one with Heath Ledger Joker. Dark Knight Rises is the one with Bane, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In Dark Knight Rises, Batman and Selina Kyle's relationship, I feel like that mirrored what was in this book perfectly. And that is actually something that stuck out to me the most. Obviously I see the Harvey Dent connection as well, but for some reason the Selina Kyle relationship actually really stuck with me.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because again, there are different elements throughout this entire book that informed plenty of stuff going forward. And yeah, I can definitely see the Selina Kyle, Bruce Wayne relationship and the Catwoman Batman relationship throughout the entire thing. It's very entertaining, I guess is the best way to put it, because you see them, and it's cool because I think it's heavily implied that Selina Kyle knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, especially towards like the end of the series. And I'm not totally sure if Batman is quite as aware of Selina Kyle being Catwoman, but so it's like you have the two different pairings of Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne as like a potential romantic couple, and then Batman and Catwoman as a potential romantic couple, which is funny to think about because then you're like, at one point in the book when they're kind of like together and then they go off in their costumes and they meet up again and there's some sexual tension going on there, you're just like, yeah, they would totally cheat on their significant other with masks by doing this sort of stuff. That's exactly what these characters. Selina 100%, and Bruce. No, yeah, Bruce also 100%.
Dude, it's crazy because they definitely for both of them, when they're out of character, out of their superhero character, and then move into wearing the suit, even in the writing, you can tell there's a personality switch, which
Oh,
I
100%.
found amazing. I was like, holy shit, this is really fucking good writing. Very realistic writing, very engaging. I mean, the art in this book is fantastic. I'm a big fan of it. But I think the thing that really takes it is the writing and the storytelling.
Yeah. And yeah, that was going to be another one of my questions that I had for you, because Tim Sale's art is very different from a lot of stuff that we've looked at before. And I remember when I first got this book back in senior year band trip, so 2017. Fuck, how long ago was that? 4 years? 4 years ago. And I first started reading this thing. I remember I wasn't reading it for the art, because at that point I was still very new into comics and stuff like that. Like I wasn't even picking up issues yet, Joe. It was just graphic novels. That's how early into that I was at that point. Exactly, back in the ye old 2017. Yeah, I just sat there on the bus next to my, at the time, girlfriend, and I'm sure she would have been like, yo, talk to me, because we're on a bus ride for 17 hours. But I was like, nah, I gotta watch Batman fuck a bitch up. Exact quote. I said that to her. You can ask her. I'll dox her right now. But, yeah, I remember looking through it and being like, I don't like this artwork at the time when I was reading through it, but I loved, like, the story is so, like, it just gets you. It's almost soap opera-esque, where it's just like, I have to keep turning every page. I gotta go for it. I gotta do another one, Joe. But after rereading it for this specifically, and having grown in my appreciation of the art, I gotta say, Tim Sale's art, it's incredibly stylized, but I fucking love it. Especially his heavy use of, like, shadows and things like that. It's such a good mood setter for some of the, especially like the policeman scenes and things like that. Like, holy shit. It's just fucking incredible.
Yeah, the shadows are pretty sick, especially on Batman. Like, the way they show him kind of lurking in the shadows. I know that's kind of his, like, whole thing.
That's his MO.
But, like, it actually, sometimes it can be a little cringy, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes when they do Batman, like, oh, Batman. Like, you're like, okay, dude, calm down.
It's like when you see, like, fucking greeting cards, and it's, like, love, and it's, like, just fucking beaches, and then doves, and all that shit. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's Batman's bread and butter right there.
Exactly. But in this, it looks fucking sick. I also love the way Batman is drawn in this. Love it.
It's, like, all, like, the gnarly muscles kind of, like, flowing into each other almost. He looks like a weathered old tree. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Exactly. But yeah, so we're talking a lot about, like, the art stuff and some of, like, the more beginner, like, outside stuff, but I want to delve more into, like, the actual story bits and see what, like, your thoughts were on some of that stuff. What do you think about, like, the premise of the holiday killer and how, like, the entire story was structured around, like, every issue took place on the holiday, that when Holiday killed someone, like what do you feel about Holiday?
I love the idea of Holiday. I had no clue that I've never heard of Holiday. I like how this quote-unquote villain you never actually see the villain, really. You only see, like, a silhouette, and at first it's kind of just like it's kind of like an idea more than anything. You're just kind of like, what is it one person? Is it multiple people? I mean, obviously they assume it's one person, and I loved it. It had me so intrigued because I did not know that this is what it was about. I thought it was just going to be like a general, like, I don't know, like Joker's up to some shit and he gets a bunch of other characters. I had no clue that there was like a quote-unquote new character in this, or a new villain. So I loved it. I loved how each cover had to deal with the different holidays. I liked the different themes. Surprisingly, I really liked the Calendar Man. Fucking cool ass character, really like him. And yeah, no, I like the premise. Very unique. It's simple, but gets the job done.
Yeah, this imagine going into this story and it just being another, like, it's Joker again. It's so refreshing reading a Batman story that is at this point almost 30 years old, and they haven't, like, touched Holiday ever. They're just like, no, We can't do it fucking better than in this goddamn story, so don't bother trying, okay?
That might be the route of thinking, though, in all honesty.
Honestly, I hope it is. I hope the writers are humble enough to be like, I don't have anything real interesting to like bring in a holiday, so I'm just not gonna do that.
Well, Joe, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I believe this same writer and artist are bringing a little something back to this in a couple weeks.
Yes, at the time of recording this, in like 2 weeks, October 12th, 2021. Just a lot of 2s and 1s in that date. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale are coming back with a 48-page Long Halloween special. That's going to be taking place after the events of this book right here. So we'll pick that up. I know that for a fact, and I don't know if we'll end up doing an episode on it, but
I think we will.
We probably will. If how much we like this book is any, gradient to kind of tell where our interests lie, we'll probably do an episode on that. But that's for a later time. But yeah, also I trust those guys because it's been like 25 years and it's the same team. So I'm okay. I'm praying that it's okay. I'm praying that it's good. Okay, love you.
Hopefully it's like the Blade Runner 2049 movie, but I know you've never seen that, so.
Yes, of course. Of course, I've never seen original Blade Runner. I've never seen Blade Runner 2049. It would never be in my top 3 movies of all time. And I have never
attempted to steal a poster.
I have never attempted to steal a poster of it ever, especially with you. Ever, never, ever. Nobody look into that. Anyway, who did you? Because we're talking about Holiday a whole lot. Did you have any inkling of who Holiday was at all?
So. I thought it was Alberto from the start, and then Alberto died, and I was like, well, it's not Alberto.
Interesting. Clearly you've never read And Then There Were None.
Yes. Well, I have read it. It's just been a very long time. Anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I really thought it was Alberto. I thought they were kind of hinting at that, but okay, whatever. He's dead. Nice little twist. And I was like, damn, if they're gonna pull some shit and like this is Alfred, I'm gonna cry.
Alfred is the holiday killer. He's just like, Master Bruce, I just want you to come home and stop the fight, please, Master Bruce. I will kill every last criminal so you will stop being this fucking bat.
I honestly thought it was something along those lines. I was like, you know what?
It's not far off with one of the other characters.
It really isn't. So, yeah, I for a while I stopped thinking. I'm like, I'm not gonna try and guess who it is. When it gets to the point that Batman and everybody else thinks it's Harvey, I just got convinced that that was the reveal and that it was gonna be Harvey. But then it wasn't Harvey. So my main questions are about the whole reveal and kind of understanding the last like 3 to 4 pages. But
right, okay.
We got a little more time for that.
Okay.
But yeah, I was jumping all over the place, but I was very happy, that my Alberto first, opinion was somewhat right.
Yes, exactly. Somewhat right being the operative word there. Because again, we said spoilers up the top, but the holiday killer isn't just the one person. And I can understand there is a bit of confusion. I don't even know if I fully understand exactly where some of these things start and stop. Like when we talk about that in a second, we can leaf through some of these final pages and be like, oh yeah, this but whatever. But so like there are technically, I believe, 3 holiday killers. You have Alberto, you have Harvey, and you have Gilda Dent, who everyone who doesn't know this is like, who the fuck is Gilda Dent? That's Harvey's wife, which I'm sure was also, as I dropped the book, a bit of a shock to a lot of other people, being like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, okay, so let's just get into it. Oh, screw it. Yeah, so I think Alberto, right? And I'm like, okay, it's got to be Alberto. They hint at it a little bit with like the way that he's kind of posed in the first couple of issues, but then Alberto gets whacked, and you're like, well, shit, it's not Alberto. And I was like, okay, then I move on to Harvey. I'm like, okay, it's got to be Harvey. And then it ends up being Alberto. And I say, you know what? Okay, cool. I was actually perfectly happy with the, and then there were none, I faked my own death or whatever. And it was Alberto the whole time. I was actually perfectly happy with that. I thought that was a pretty cool story. I like the little background of that his birthday was born, that he was born on a holiday, and that Carmine didn't know like his own son's birthday and stuff like that, and that like he was
Carmine's
always away.
a bit of a douche.
Yeah, I like Carmine though. Very cool character.
He is a very strong, like the mob characters of Falcone and Maroni are always pretty damn strong whenever they're being portrayed in. Like even the TV show Gotham. Like I don't know if you've ever seen any of that. I watched all of it. It's fine. It's not the best like DC comic adaptation ever, but those two characters, Carmine, Falcone, and Maroni, are fucking great. And I think it's just because mobsters are always really cool and writers really like writing for those kinds of guys.
Yeah, no, that was the other thing. The side characters in this book, chef's kiss. It's not just Batman, Catwoman, Harvey Dent. Like the side characters are actually really, really great.
Yeah, like Sophia Falcone Gigante.
Oh my
Just a
god,
fucking wall of a woman.
yeah, what a woman. I don't even want to get into that. Let your own imagination take you where you think. But anyway, back to who the fuck I thought the holiday killer was. Again, the Alberto reveal, I like it. And then, you know, one thing that was kind of sticking with me is the calendar man throughout the book keeps changing the pronouns whenever he talks about holiday.
Yes.
And I was like, interesting. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, is it going to be like something like they're trans or something? Like, I was trying to think of like characters and stuff like that. But it all made sense in the end because, well, it didn't make sense when you find out that Harvey says that he's like, oh, hey, I guess there was, when Harvey eventually becomes Two-Face and he kills Carmine and then he gets arrested, he makes a joke or something that like, oh, that there was two holiday killers. And it doesn't sit well in Gordon's stomach. He's like, what the hell did he mean, Batman? Batman's like, well, think about it. He just killed Falcone on Halloween, so I guess technically he became Holiday in the end. And you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. Cool little twist. And he ends up going to jail, and Alberto, excuse me, goes to the insane asylum, or goes to Arkham Asylum. I like how it's right across from the calendar man, and they kind of like look at each other like, you bitch, you're basically me. But then we get the big reveal that Gilda Dent was actually the one committing all these murders, which I was very shocked by, but I also loved the way that they portrayed it and that it was revealed with her kind of internal monologue and her burning her outfit, Harvey's hat and the jacket and everything. What I'm confused about now, and
Yes.
again, this is probably the timeline jump, right? So
Right.
if it was her, when she's talking about it, when she's reminiscing, she does it as if Harvey found out that she was the holiday killer and he decided to join her, and that he killed Alberto on the boat or tried to kill him, something that somehow he got involved, and that when he did come back that night and his hair was wet, that she realized, okay, so you know what's up, we're just not going to talk about this and we're just going to kind of go with this. But then I'm confused of who came up with the idea to pretend Alberto's death. Did Alberto talk with the two of them? Did they plan this out? Why did Alberto take the fall? Yeah, I'm just lost with understanding that those three's relationship to each other, because I honestly think the best way would have been to like, I don't know, have like one person be caught as the killer and then reveal that it was actually Gilda, that like somehow Harvey was like saving her and actually taking the blame for it. But instead it's just kind of this vague, weird ending, and I'm just a little lost, so I want to know, can you elaborate?
Yeah, so Holiday started out as Gilda. Like, I'm literally reading through the panels right now where she goes, Johnny Vitti was the first, then again on Thanksgiving I left the hospital while you slept, and again on Christmas. But when Alberto Falcone was shot on New Year's and you came home late that night, your hair was wet even though you were wearing a hat. And so it's insinuated that she's the one who started doing the holiday killings, and it's her motivations behind this is because, Harvey, after they got married, they wanted to start a family and move away from all the craziness in Gotham, but Harvey was so not enamored but engrossed in his work and trying to like rid Gotham of the two main crime families that it was consuming him entirely. And so Gilda was trying to help in like waning out but like waning out all the different like crime family members and like trying to scare them off so that they would stop being assholes. And in doing so, she like created this, she didn't create it, but like it became this whole fiction of the holiday killer. And so yeah, this is the part where I'm with you, where I'm not entirely sure if this is left ambiguous on purpose or if this is kind of like a writing flub or something like that, because it's insinuated very heavily now that Harvey Dent was the one who killed Alberto. We never see Alberto's body. We see him fall over the railing of the ship, and then his body washes up, days later they find it. And then, after that point, I don't actually know which of the three of them was the holiday killer going forward. It could have switched between all three of them. It could have been Alberto going forward for the rest of the time. I have no fucking clue. They don't elaborate on it. The only killings that we know of that were specifically to each character, obviously Harvey was the last one on Halloween when he who did he kill on like the final Halloween?
Carmine.
Was it Alberto? Carmine, that's right. And then Alberto killed someone else. I don't fucking remember who exactly Alberto killed, but he obviously wanted to be the one to take the credit for all of the holiday killings, because that would make him bigger than his father ever was, when his father wanted fucking nothing to do with him and didn't want him to be a part of his empire at all. And so, Alberto is kind of like the avatar of the theme of the book, which is the change that is Gotham from organized crime to Gotham to crime of freaks. And he says that point blank to his father. He's like, you've been running this city for like 30, 40, 50 years, and in just 1 year, I've surpassed you as a legend, as the holiday killer. Like, the city's moved on from organized crime, from gangsters and all that other bullshit. It's about the freaks now. And obviously, Carmine and Maroni throughout the entire story are very much aware that the freaks are moving into Gotham, being, Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, the Joker, all these other characters, Mad Hatter, and Falcone, as a means to an end, uses them in order to try and figure out what the fuck is going on and trying to like catch the holiday killer. But it never works, and it only helps to accelerate the transfer of power from like organized crime to the the I just keep calling them the freaks, the super villains, if you will. So it is an ambiguous ending. Like, we only have really 4 kills that are confirmed by people that we know of. The first 3 by Gilda and the last one by Harvey. And then everything in between, it's heavily insinuated one way or another, but it's never really elaborated on. And I kind of love that, because that also means there could be others.
The one thing that sticks the most with me when figuring out the end is, if you remember when she kind of confronts Harvey about finding the gun at his workbench, and Harvey says, are we going to have this conversation right now? Which at first I thought was like, he was saying like, are we really going to talk about work right now? Like, I have to go. But now I realize it's more like, are we really gonna talk about the fact that I know you're the killer and you know I killed?
Right.
Are we gonna have that conversation right now, or can we just turn a blind eye and just act like nothing happened and keep doing what we're doing? And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I imagine on subsequent rereads, like if you went back into this after and you're going through, you'd probably find quite a few lines like that you're like, oh, this just means, this surface level thing. And then you think about it and you're like, oh, fuck. That actually could mean this. And you're like, oh, okay, this is cool.
Do you think we'll get any clarification in this special that's coming out?
If Jeff Loeb is a competent and smart writer, which I believe he is, absolutely not. Don't fuck with it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I feel like I had a feeling maybe you definitely clarified it just a little bit for me. Like I said, I just kind of get confused how Alberto gets involved in this. I'm like, did he just understand that?
Yeah, I don't know if he had any like dealings with Dent. It certainly doesn't seem that way. They never have a moment in the story where like he gives him a wink or whatever or something like that, and he's just like, haha, thank you, brother, for helping me out. That went. It's like, I think he just by chance survives the attack by Harvey, and then because he's the biggest mob boss of Gotham's Sun, manages to get like a lookalike guy who then, as the coroner says when Falcone comes by, he's like, the Seagulls have been having their way with him for a while, so it's hard to really identify who it is. So I'm sure he just got some schmuck who looked like him, deteriorated the body a little bit, put it there, and then he enacted his own plan, becoming his version of the Holiday Killer. So I don't think they had any actual like plan together. I think it was just happenstance that it sort of came out that way.
This is the earliest version of the Three Jokers, basically.
I guess you could say that. I think it's a better version of the Three Jokers for sure.
Of course.
Yeah,
I completely agree as well. We never actually discussed that on this podcast. Interesting.
No, we'll do that at some other time. But that's definitely a story that warrants a long conversation.
A very long conversation.
All right, so back onto topic of the Long Halloween though. What kind of a ranking would you give this, Joe?
I believe this falls under a classic out of 10.
That is a perfect, that's a pretty good ranking. I'd also give it a perfect out of 10. No numbers here this time. That's right. Cup of Joe is back without fucking numbers, baby. Just words and then a slash and then numbers. So it's a classic out of 10. That's how we're ranking shit from now on.
Yeah, I think it's about accurate. I'm happy to actually sit down, read this thing, discuss it with you. And it's very strange that out of the time that we could have discussed this, now this special coming out, I think that's pretty crazy.
A couple of things like that have happened.
Yeah.
Like when we first started watching Anohana,
Dude.
that teaser image of the fucking 10-year anniversary thing came out, and then we got onto what the fuck was it? Well, this isn't as like impact like stars aligning sort of a thing, but when we started up the podcast, and then it was like, hey, fuckos, Bleach is coming back at some point. You don't know exactly when, but it's coming back, and we're just like, oh yes, Bleach sluts were here. Remember that? That's a bit from a little while ago.
Classic. But Joe, I'm very happy I read this. I want to ask, what would you recommend be the next Batman story I read? Something bigger like this.
Oh shit. Hang on, I'm looking at my fucking
The Wall.
I'm looking at the wall. Batman Hush actually might be a really good Batman book for you to go to next. It is styled similarly to this. It's not like it is a contained story, but it takes place in continuity. Like it's Batman number 300 whatever to 300 something like that. But it is Jim Lee art, so get ready for that. And it has a similar-ish dynamic between Batman and Catwoman, and you go through a bunch of different rogues, and it also has a unique villain to that story that I don't know if you've ever heard of before, and has an equally as confusing ending, some might say. So if you want something kind of similar in a lot of its style to Long Halloween, I would definitely recommend Batman Hush. Other than that, and I'm just looking. I gotta lean back to see all the shit. Black Mirror is also a pretty good Batman story, but that has Dick Grayson as Batman, because at this point, Batman is in some timey-wimey bullshit shenanigans because of Omega Beams. So I might suggest that for a later read, but I would definitely recommend Hush be your next Batman graphic novel you dive into.
All right, well, I actually got that recommendation yesterday from a friend. So
Ooh. Shout out one time.
Yes. Is that the one shout out, or do I have to shout out? Or?
That's the one. That's the one shout out. Move on. Forget him now.
Okay.
Fuck him.
Anyway, the only exposure I had with Hush is remember we read the Dark Multiverse story for Batman Hush.
Oh yeah. Yeah, throw that shit out the fucking window.
Yeah, I don't even remember what that shit was.
Good.
Anyway, yeah, so cool. Couple of things to look forward to. Maybe Batman 3 Jokers. But that's basically what we're going to be doing from here on out. Joe and I are just going to kind of be hopping on whenever we read, watch, or, I don't know, hear something that we both are interested in and we want to discuss about. I can't keep up with the weekly stuff. I'm a small boy that has small amount of time.
I'm a small boy with big dreams.
I haven't showered in 4 days. I really need to shower. But the podcast comes first. So, anyway, happy to be back. We got a bunch we also have other stuff that we're going to do for Halloween. This isn't the only thing. Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Maybe over the garden wall.
Oh. Wait, is Scooby-Doo over the garden wall? Or is, like, over the garden wall a thing we might be doing?
I think it's the crossover episode.
Holy shit.
Yes, it's quite a lot of fun stuff for the fall. Joe and I are going to keep talking, keep nerding out about shit, but this was pretty fun. Talk about Long Halloween. I love this thing. Definitely something I am going to be recommending to people.
Yes, 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 and more yes. So, with all that being said, everyone, welcome to spooky season. We're here. It is October 1st. We can officially say it without being called out by all the fucking Halloween Scrooges of the world, and we're happy about it. Enjoy your pumpkin spice lattes. I really don't give that much of a shit. That's right, the part at the beginning was just a bit. I wasn't actually that angry. Just a tiny bit, but not really. So yeah, everyone, again, from both Joes, strongly recommend Batman The Long Halloween. It's a fucking great graphic novel. Awesome art, even if it takes you a little while to get into it. Great, great, great story. And yeah, keep reading comics, keep watching all the nerdy shit you love, and keep on tuning in for more Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe here on the Just Two Joes channel. Not really weekly anymore, but we got some more stuff coming for you guys this October. So make sure to subscribe, like, comment. With that being said, everyone, we'll love you, we'll leave you, and goodbye.